Plaintiff Tjane Polk met the defendant in college, and they ended up dating and having a child. Tjane claims after the defendant took her car without permission, they got in an argument and he damaged her apartment and the vehicle, so she's suing. Defendant Joseph Cambridge insists he had permission to drive Tjane's car, but he claims she took the vehicle back and left him stranded. And then she deactivated his business phone, so she instigated the whole thing.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
Well, in 2018, I went to community college on a dance chair scholarship. I actually met Joseph.
What type of scholarship?
A dance and a chair scholarship.
Okay.
I actually met Joseph the following semester. He came in as a starting quarterback. So, you know, the girls, we just want to talk to us.
What school?
Highland Community College in Kansas. So one night, me and my friends were, went to a college dorm room little party, and I actually met Joseph. We kicked it off. He was really a friend to me. Ended up turning into a relationship. 2019, I ended up getting pregnant. At that time, he had received his associate's degree. So of us, going to go with the relationship with our son, he decided to move me to Georgia with him, where he had received a full-time scholarship at a Fort Valley University as a quarterback.
Wow.
At the time I moved to Georgia, I stayed with his grandmother, and he went to college, stayed on campus to pursue his, career with his football scholarship. At that time, we ended up getting an apartment. He had an agreement to come with me every weekend, like come home on the weekends if he didn't have football practice. One weekend he came home, he ended up taking my car, which is a Mustang, without my permission.
Let me get to him, give some background before we move to the specifics. Sir?
Yes, Your Honor. I came to Kansas Highland Community College and actually met her through a mutual friend at a party. And we were friends when it's at the beginning. And then everybody went on spring break, and with us being so far from home, a handful of people stayed on campus, and we just happened to be two of those handful. And it wasn't no cafeteria open, it wasn't no stores, no food. So she was in my room cooking every day. So with her doing that, that's what made me start liking her.
Your room?
Yeah, my dorm room. She was just cooking every day.
And hot plate? I'm cooking on what?
Yeah, we had the dorm room. We had a stove in there.
Wow.
And a microwave. Yeah, it's like a little apartment dorm room type.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how we really kicked it off. And when everybody came back, we actually had a party in my dorm room, and the police came and they found.
They invited the police.
Yeah.
You invited them.
They had found marijuana in the room and put it on Tay, and they kicked her out of school.
Why did they come?
Because they was looking for somebody, and when they thought they was looking for her, but they was actually looking for another female.
What did they say the person had done?
They never said what the person did. So
they just came up to the house. They asked for a particular woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they said they was looking for her, and they actually brought her to the door. But then they said, "Oh, this is the wrong person."
Mm-hmm.
But the room smelled like marijuana, so they searched the entire room for about 3 hours.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, pinned it on her, and she got kicked out of school.
What did they say you did or allege?
Yeah, they said that it smelled like marijuana. They wanted me to blame it on the dudes, and at the time,
Who wanted you to blame it on him?
the security officer, he said, it's their dorm room. Either you can take the blame for it, or they were going to lose their scholarship.
Why do you think they suggested that?
It was a room that smelled like marijuana.
They told her to pin it on us, but she took it instead of pinning it on us.
I didn't want to be a snitch, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. All right. And why did they ask for you, though?
Because they said that the marijuana was by my wallet that was placed in his drawer. They brought me outside. They said they was going to find me. And at the time, I was like...
Okay, so you got punished for it.
Yeah, I got punished for it.
All right, you're the one that got punished for their weed because you weren't no snitch.
Yes.
So no snitch got you put out of school. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the no snitch quote for all you middle class kids that think y'all doing something when you say, snitch, that's for criminals. Mm-hmm. That no snitch policy is for criminals when they are talking about testifying against each other. It's not about when you see an old 80-year-old lady get killed. I ain't gonna snitch about that 80-year-old woman being killed. I ain't gonna even give an anonymous tip. That's not that. And some square must have made y'all think that, because any street guy know that that's not what snitching is. Snitching is telling on your fellow criminals. A rat, a snitch, you've informed, all of those words are criminal terms. So are you a criminal?
No, I am not.
All right, well, snitch shouldn't come into play with you. Go ahead, sir. What did happen after that?
Yeah, it was actually about 5 of us.
After y'all gave her up to the police, after you strong, tough football players gave this young lady up to the police.
That's what I told her. I kept telling her, like, don't take the blame. Like, don't do it. But she just did it.
You told her not.
I told her not to, but after that, it was like a couple days went by. She ended up getting kicked out of the school. And like a month later, they found something wrong in my room while she was gone, so I got kicked off campus.
And that's why I'm in favor of recreational marijuana for sure. And here you all are getting records like millions of other kids have gotten criminal records for smoking a joint. You couldn't afford no more than a dime bag than 5 joints in college.
That's all it was.
So you couldn't have no more than 5 joints. And she get kicked out and you get a record. That's shameful. And here you all are getting records like millions of other kids have gotten criminal records for smoking a joint. You couldn't afford no more than a dime bag than 5 joints in college.
That's all it was.
So you couldn't have no more than 5 joints. And she get kicked out and you get a record. That's shameful.
Plaintiff Tjane Polt has a child with the defendant. She claims after an argument, the defendant damaged her apartment and vandalized her vehicle.
I think that that's one of the reasons we should have recreational marijuana. In some states, if you had a marijuana conviction and it wasn't for distribution or sales, it was for use, and that's based on the amount you were caught with, then it's wiped off your record automatically. So that's what all the other states should do, because they passed a law. 1 joint will disqualify you for financial aid.
Yeah, it happened.
Oh, yeah.
Just like they did with public housing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that came from the Clinton era. You remember the I didn't
inhale.
Yeah, I didn't inhale. It came from the I didn't inhale crowd. If you get caught with a joint in public housing, they put you, if you're over there visiting your mama, somebody, the superintendent, whoever come in and smell weed, put your mama out because she had weed in the house because the son didn't come over and visit, whatever the case. Hell, and poor people need them a joint every now and then.
Yeah, that's stress.
Yeah, oh, that's stress. Go ahead. So they do what to you again over this weed?
Basically, they just told me that I had to leave off of campus. If I couldn't find nowhere to stay off campus, then I had to go back home, back to Georgia. And but my coaches, I was a good player, so my coaches actually found a place for me, and they pitched in and got me a spot off of campus.
Good.
And I went home for like a week, and I had her come to Georgia, and that's when she ended up getting pregnant. And then I had invited her to move out to Kansas with me while I was in school. And even around that time, we knew that we were fighting up there, arguing all the time and stuff
about
like
what?
that. About everything. And we was living together. I couldn't go nowhere. She ain't go nowhere. We were just stuck in the house together 24/7 every single day. And then she was pregnant, so her emotions was getting crazy, and I wasn't used to being around that. So it was a lot of stuff going on. And then the season ended. We ended up going back home. I ended up going to Fort Valley, and I brought her down to live with me in Georgia. And that's basically how everything.
Good. What about your football scholarship or what have you?
And well, at that time when I was in Kansas, I had a good year. I finished 5th in the country, and I still had issues that I had to face off the field. And I ended up getting a scholarship to go to Fort Valley State University. And that's when everything else happened with me losing the scholarship and going back home with the car and stuff like that. And all of that.
How did you lose your scholarship?
And I lost the scholarship. I feel
Specifically? Well, ain't no I feel like. That's what you're about to tell me. What did they say?
I lost the scholarship because...
They said, we're not going to give you a scholarship. We're taking it back. And here is the reason. So I want to hear the reason they gave you.
The reason was because he said I wasn't focused. I had too many off the field issues, and I wasn't attending study hall at the time.
Okay. Off the field issues.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's keep it there. Yes, they take it for weed, for whatever she's about to tell me about. If it was something violence oriented or domestic violence, yes, they take it. And like they're taking these pro players' careers, sometimes rightfully so, sometimes it's overkill. Right. But that's what happens. And so let me hear from you. What happened?
At this point, like you said, he actually moved me to Georgia. I stayed with his grandmother at the time, and then we ended up getting an apartment. So he was staying on campus. I had the apartment at the time, and he was coming down every weekend. So one weekend he came down. He ended up taking the Mustang without permission.
He used to get permission, even though you all lived together. He had to get permission.
Because it was my car. I had to go to work.
That's a yes or no what answer.
Yes. Yes.
Had he always gotten permission?
Yes.
To use your car in the past?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead.
So one day, he ended up taking it without permission. I didn't know he was gone. I was texting him, blowing his phone up, like, where you at? I looked at his GPS locator, and it says he was 2 hours away. So I'm calling him. He's not reaching out to me. He ended up saying that he took the car because he had practice on that Saturday. So I'm still asking him to bring the car. I got to work the next day. I have a newborn baby. You know, I have things to do. He didn't reach out. So I eventually called his coach, which I eventually called the coach, and I was like, hey, can you reach out to Joseph for me? He took the car without permission. He was like, yeah, he don't have practice tomorrow. I have him bring it back. So he ended up coming. Well, he actually didn't come. I actually blew his phone up. He told me he was going to come back. He told his coach he was going to bring me the car on Sunday, I think it was. Never bought it. I missed work. So me and my homegirl, we drove to Fort Valley. The location brought me to a restaurant he was at with his football players. We got there, jumped in the car, and drove it back because I had a spare key.
If you get caught with a joint in public housing, they put you. If you over there visiting your mama, somebody, the superintendent, whoever come in and smell weed, put your mama out because she had weed in the house because the son didn't come over and visit. Whatever the case. Hell, and poor people need them a joint every now and then.
Yeah, that's stress.
Yeah, that's stressful.
Plaintiff Tjane Polk has a child with the defendant. She claims after an argument, the defendant damaged her apartment and vandalized her vehicle.
Go ahead.
That night, he comes home and was, pushed the door so hard that put a hole when you go into the door, put a hole in the wall. He was spazzing, saying I embarrassed him by coming to get the car, leaving him and his homeboy stranded at the restaurant. That I called his coach, almost got him in trouble. And if you can look on...
No, you did get him in trouble with calling the coach.
Yeah.
So let's go there. Is his parents alive?
Who, his parents?
Your parents alive?
Yes, sir.
Why didn't you call them?
I did. I called his mom because we had a good relationship.
What'd she say?
She said, do what I have to do because he's older.
She said what?
Do what I have to do.
Okay.
She said he's older and he doesn't, she can't tell him what to do.
All right. And you thought it would be best to call the coach. What did you expect the coach would be able to do to him?
Because... just tell him to bring the car back. So that's the only person he would listen to at the time. Like, if his coach tell him to do something, he would do it. And he actually said that he was going to bring it Sunday and did not.
Okay.
If you actually look on pages 3 through 8, this was photos of him damaging the property. When he came in, he was so mad that I called a coach and left him stranded that he ended up putting a hole in the wall, pushing the wall, threw my phone into the wall.
Yeah,
and
threw your phone?
Yes, into the wall. And
he didn't hit you, did he?
No. Okay. And I've never actually seen him get that mad.
Damage to a car.
Yeah, so he actually kicked the car.
Out of anger?
Yeah, he was mad that I called his coach because I guess that got him in trouble.
Kicked your car.
Yeah, so he put a lot of damages to the car.
Hurt his right quarterback arm. That's why he couldn't get his scholarship either.
And he
broke his hand, and his hand doesn't work as well anymore because you all acted a fool. Go ahead.
He acted a fool. He actually pulled the door handle to the Mustang. He actually did a lot of damage to the property because he was embarrassed at.
And that's what you're suing for today?
Yes.
All right. Let me hear from you on this, sir.
Well, she knew I needed the car while I was in school, and she knew I needed it that weekend because I did have practice on that Saturday, but not on that Sunday. But I'm in school, and we had a spare car. It didn't work as good as the car that I had, but I didn't want to use that car to drive hours and 30 minutes every day down there. I wanted to use the car that can make it. And she knew I had it, and she was just mad that I didn't come home that weekend.
No, she said first that you have to ask permission. Did you ask her?
Yeah, and I didn't need permission. Well, I felt like I didn't need permission.
Had you driven it before without permission?
I've driven it before without permission.
How often?
Not too often, because if I was home, I'll drive the other car there. I'll let her get the one that drive good. But when it was time to get on the road, I wanted the car that's not going to break down on me.
And she had a young child, as she said, you all's baby, and you just said she had no transportation.
Facts, which she did because she had the other car, and the other car is actually that I left her is a 4-door, and the car that I had is a 2-door. So I felt like it would have been more safer for her to drive with the 4-door anyway.
When she asked you to bring the car back, what did you say?
When she asked me to bring it back, I said I'm gonna bring it, but I said I'm not gonna bring it right now. I'm gonna bring it on my time. Cause I didn't like hitting the road.
Bring her car on your time.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
And
what's the result of all that? Off the team. What'd you do with your degree?
Actually, I ended up getting an associate's degree, and
we're talking about when you went to the university. That's what we're talking about. And you took her car, and that's why she called your coach. And now you're out of the school, off the team, lost your scholarship. So I just want to know, what'd you get your degree in?
I'm still trying to get my degree.
Oh, you didn't get one?
Nah, I got.
So that cost you a degree and a scholarship.
It did.
That's being Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. Super Macho. I'm the man. I got to take my woman car, so I ain't that macho, by the way. I ain't really a man. I'm a kid in school. But yeah, I'm gonna act like I am. And then get kicked out, lose your scholarship. Where you work, sir? Where you work?
I run a business from my phone, and I trade currencies, stocks, and stuff like that.
What was your income last year?
Say that again, sir?
What was your income last year?
Last year?
Don't even know.
No.
All right, I got you, sir. Do all this and don't know what you made. When she asked you to bring the car back, what did you say?
When she asked me to bring it back, I said I'm gonna bring it, but I said I'm not gonna bring it right now. I'm gonna bring it on my time, cause I didn't like hitting the road.
Her car on your time.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
And
And what's the result of all that? Off the team.
Plaintiff Tjane Polk has a child with the defendant, but she claims after an argument, the defendant damaged her apartment and vandalized her vehicle.
Go ahead, sir. What do you say about the damages?
the damages, I personally feel like I don't owe her for any of the damages. I did it, but it was out of rage of emotions that she built up into me, which was leaving me stranded out there.
Do you think you can get back in college?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you need to, because your reasoning and logic is very, very damaged. If you think just because you didn't like her asking for her car back, and when you wouldn't respond, and you took the attitude, I bring it when I want to bring it, and she go to your coach, now suddenly you want to go off because she made me go into a rage for asking me for something that belonged to her.
Not only that, but like I said, I run a business from my phone. And the reason all of the damages happened because she deactivated the business account that I had.
That was in her name?
Was it in her name?
Yeah.
No, Your Honor, it was in my name.
How can she deactivate something that her name isn't on it?
She logged into the account. Like it's all electronic. It's all electronic.
Is that true?
I did, but that was when he damaged the property.
You deactivated his business phone.
But
why?
I ended up paying it back. I paid him the $230.
But why did you do it? Just as retaliation? So you all were retaliating against each other?
No, that's because he ended up damaging my phone as well. So when he threw my phone, it broke my phone. So I was telling him, you need to get my phone fixed. He did not do that as well after he lied.
So you deactivated the account to get him back?
Yes.
All right, so that's what I just said.
I'm sorry.
You all were going up against each other, damaging each other. He damaged your property, you damaged his business. He's good, luckily, he's not countersuing because he would win as well. You would win and you would win. You damaged or caused him problems with his business, retaliating, as you admit, and he retaliated for you calling the coach. So, have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff.
I'm just glad that he actually admitted that he did damage to my property, and we can move forward for now.
Hopefully we can come back together as a family, me, her, and my son, everything be straight.
I think I would consider that.
Plaintiff Shanini Jones says 6 years ago, she took her grandchildren in so Child Protective Services wouldn't take them away. Shanini claims she gave the defendant money to buy a puppy for her grandchildren, but she never got the dog, so she's suing to get her money back. Defendant Shawn ran the streets when he was younger and got himself into trouble. However, Shawn claims he turned his life around and started a nonprofit to help mentor youth. Shawn says Shanini is suing for more than he owes, and he's countersuing for defamation.
Start with you, ma'am.
Okay, I am a single grandparent raising my 2 grandkids. I've had them for the past 6 years.
Where are they parents?
They're around.
Why are you
but
raising them?
At the time, they wasn't stable enough to take them in.
Okay.
The mother asked me if I would take them because she didn't want CPS to come and take them.
Good.
So she asked me if I would get them, and I took them, and I've had them since. During that time, that's when they asked me, they expressed to me that they wanted a dog. And I saw a post Shawn had where he was selling some Shih Tzus. And I messaged him to find out how much he would charge me for one. And at that time, that's when he told me that he doesn't handle business over text and to give him a call. So I called him, we talked, and that's when he told me how much he was going to charge me for the dogs.
How much?
$600. At that time, I felt that was a good idea to get them a dog because I was going through some hard times with my granddaughter, especially. She was acting out. I feel that it had a lot to do with her transitioning from her mother to my home. Mm-hmm. And she was like I think she was being bullied in school. And I changed her school and she's doing a lot better. And I also signed them up for football and cheer. And that's where I met Shawn at the park where they cheer at. He's like a vendor out there where he sells stuff.
Good.
And that's where I met him at.
Plaintiff Shanini Jones is suing the defendant because she gave him money for a puppy, but she never got the dog.
All right, you give me some background, then we'll get into the transaction here. Sir?
Well, I was raised by a single mother, and I wanted to do things my way. So, eventually I ended up running the streets and getting into trouble, and had to go do a little time because I wanted to hustle.
What city?
Do, what my mom told me to do.
What city?
And I'm from Tampa, Florida.
So you hanging out in West Tampa?
Yeah, I done been to West Tampa.
Little trouble or big trouble? You short fry or you a big fella? Were you part of the Traficantes?
I was a big fella when I did my thing.
Were you part of the Traficantes crew?
No, we ain't doing none of that, dude. Now.
he wasn't in on that one.
I went in on that.
Go ahead. Tampa's a mobster town, allegedly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's Ebo City.
I've lived there many years, so I know about Tampa. Go ahead. All my relatives are there. Aunt Mitty, hi.
When I got out, I went and got my barber license and my CDLs, and I opened up a barber shop. I always like to work for myself.
Good.
And during the pandemic, all of that stopped for me. So I ended up riding bicycles and posting it on Facebook. And eventually I ended up starting a group, a nonprofit called Get Kids on Bikes, where, I like to repair bikes, I customize bikes, and I give them away to the kids. Right now we I think we at 61. I'm trying to give away 100 for the year.
Good.
And like I said, basically just mentoring to the kids. That's one of the things I was doing up there to the park as I was mentoring to the kids.
How long ago did you come home?
I actually came home in 97.
Okay, and when did you start working for yourself?
97.
Where did you learn your barber skill?
while I was incarcerated.
There you go. All right. And so all the other brothers who are locked down, you're a good example for them, like many others are. Chefs make good money when they come out. Barbers, don't take but a couple years to get you a good crew of clients if you're good. So you come out and you got immediate employment if you use your time wisely while you're in. Use your time wisely in, you'll be all right when you come out. All right,
Yes,
so
sir.
Congratulations, proud of you. Thanks for your help in the community. Because the fact is, kids are listening to you quicker than they will professional folks. People.
Well, I have a good following because it's like with them kids, it's like you can't tell them nothing if you ain't been there.
That's what I was saying. That's exactly what I was saying. Yeah, they listen to you before the professionals because the professionals can't identify with their struggle, haven't been where they've been. Some of these professionals treat them like they're just lost, and they're not. Young folks are very astute in impoverished communities. They know why they're impoverished. That's what people want to know. Why they're so angry? You'd be angry too if you didn't have any opportunity, any money. So these kids know what's happening. They know society has failed them and left them behind. So they go with the folks who they know love them. And that's the folks who live their reality. So thank you, and tell those kids to keep it going. And tell me about your dog business.
Well, basically with the dogs, I used to breed pit bulls and all of that there. So eventually, when I was just trying to change things up, I just went on here. My daughter, she's in the Yorkies and Shih Tzu. So that's really what started that off. And we just, like I said, I try to make the dogs pay for themselves. So, I get them and, I breed them. Basically, the money goes right back into taking care of them. Okay. And I've been doing that, like I said, all my life. It just went to a smaller dog.
And you stopped fighting them. All right. And so stop gambling and fighting them.
Yeah.
Let me hear from you about this transaction specifically.
Well, back in 2019, I inquired about the dog originally, and I gave him a $200 deposit. At that time, I had to move out of my apartment, and I didn't find another apartment in time enough to get, to actually take in the dog. So I called him and I was like, well, Shawn, I got to move, and I'm moving in with my niece, so I can't take a dog. Can you keep him until I move? And he said yes. So unfortunately, I ended up staying with my niece for
Why didn't you just
6
wait?
months.
Why didn't you just wait before purchasing it?
Well, I didn't expect to not find somewhere to live before I had
the money
to move.
down.
Okay. I'm sorry?
Before putting the money down?
Right. I had expected to find somewhere, but I had somewhere and I wasn't approved for it. So that kind of put a halt on it. And my niece was like, well, Auntie, you can come and stay with me. And I ended up staying with her like 6 months. And then when I moved, I called Shawn and I told him, I say, hey, I moved. I'm ready for the dog. That's when he told me he decided to keep the dog. So I was like, well, okay, when will you have another litter? So he told me it would be Christmas. So I say, well, how much more do I need to give you? He said $400.
Plaintiff Shanini Jones is suing the defendant because she gave him money for a puppy, but she never got the dog.
Go ahead.
I gave him the $400, and a couple weeks before Christmas, I asked him, I sent him text asking, can I see pictures of the dog? He never sent me pictures of the dog. And I asked him, could we come and see the dog? And he said he wasn't at home. And it was just always an excuse. And then I asked him when I called him a couple days before Christmas, a couple weeks maybe before Christmas, just to see, to coordinate with him when I could pick the dog up, because I wanted to give it to my grandkids for Christmas. So I called him and he told me something about the dogs came in contact with another dog at the vet that had some type of disease. And he had to settle he had some kind of, settlement with the vet as far as the dogs go. He said he didn't want to give us a dog, one of those dogs, so I can get one from the next litter. And I was like, okay. So we waited until he got the next litter. He said he had breeded the dog, one of his dogs, with a friend of his dog. So it was around February or something. He said that they'll be ready in a couple weeks. So I called him in February, still no dog. And
you're not going to get no puppies in a couple of weeks from breed. That's not correct either.
I'm only repeating what you told me. You told me something about
I'm
February.
just saying, you're not going to breed a dog and get some puppies in a couple of weeks. It takes 2 months. Then 2 months for them to be ready.
Is that what you believe that it would only take 2 weeks, ma'am?
No. I didn't say 2 weeks. Maybe I shouldn't say couple.
Okay.
He did tell me 8 weeks.
Okay.
He did tell me that.
Big difference. Go ahead.
It is. I do apologize. Mm-hmm. And then on around spring break time, he said that I guess the dogs were ready about that time. He said the person he breeded his dog with, they were on vacation. So he said they should be back that Sunday. So I said, okay, but then I didn't call him back right away. I waited like a week before I called him back. And at that time, that's when pretty much all communication stopped. So that's when I proceeded to tell him that I was going to, go the legal route. But it really upset me because I feel like he just took advantage of me because he gave my niece a dog. My niece paid for her dog a couple weeks after
for her dog. That's why she got a dog. You did not.
You didn't pay. You said, hold on, sir. Hold on. Didn't you say you gave him all $600?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me hear.
That's not correct.
Well, let me hear. You tell me what happened.
Okay, sir. For number one, we're talking about two different dogs. She gave me a deposit, I want to say in 2019 for a Yorkie. Mm-hmm. She became homeless. So like I said, I didn't want to keep the dog, but I can't sell the dog. The dog got a deposit on it. I couldn't sell the dog. So I ended up, the dog got too old. Ain't nobody want an older dog because of her. She never paid. She left a $200 deposit and I heard nothing from her. I'm calling her up. I'm seeing her at the park. She walking by me like she don't even see me, knowing she got a dog over there that she need to pay the remaining balance on. And she telling you the dog was $600. She wanted a female Shih Tzu. That was $1,000. She left, and then she turned around and gave me another deposit for the second transaction. She trying to combine two different dogs into one dog. That's why we got the problem now. I done gave her a little $200 back, but she talking about I owe her $600. She done took the first transaction. She done took the money from that transaction, trying to make it over to the second transaction and get all her money back. I told her before, she lost her deposit when she never came and picked the dog up. And I ended up having to keep the dog
deposit, Shawn.
because ain't nobody want no older dog. The dog's still with me to this day.
You never told me.
So she is giving you a total combined.
Yeah, she done added everything up. On any of her paperwork, she never said it was two separate dogs. It's two separate dogs. She gave me a deposit for a boy dog the first time, and the second time it was a female dog. Female dogs, I sell them for $1,000.
I wanted a boy
her friend
dog.
who she talking about, she paid $800 up front, and she got her dog. Because she paid for it. She left a deposit. And she didn't pay the remaining, but she owed money now if she wanted to get the dog. But she kept calling, harassing me. And just like she said, 2 weeks, I'm telling her right now. I can't make no dog come up just like that. When I bred my dog to another dog, if the puppy would have came through, she would have got her dog. She was just very impatient. She calling me every day. She leaving nasty messages and all that. Then she telling people I owe her this and I owe her that. How? All you did was leave a deposit. You didn't pay for the dog.
Did she give you $400?
She gave me $200 for the first dog and $200 for the second dog. But like I told her, $200 for the first dog, I spent that feeding the dog.
Hold on. You say you gave him $600?
Yes, Your Honor. If you see on page 5 of my evidence, it says, don't worry, I'll give you back $400. That was the $400 I gave him.
Plaintiff Shanini Jones is suing the defendant because she gave him money for a puppy, but she never got the dog.
Show me anything that says 2 or 2 more or 6 or something indicating it's more than what he admitted. He said 4, and that's all you've shown me so far is 4. What else do you want me to see?
On page 15, I told him that I wanted all my money back, not just I wanted the whole $600, not just the $400.
And that's where the problem came in at. I don't owe her no $600. When she started talking like that, all communication stopped because I knew she was crazy. It wasn't nothing else for me to say to her when she talking about $600. She already done combined
Shawn?
two
I
separate
bought you
transactions into one.
$400 cash to your house.
No, ma'am.
And that was,
Shawn, why are you lying?
and that was,
You lying.
ma'am, and that was, well, I'm looking here. These are one communication is March and the other communication is September.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Why
That was
so
March of
long?
this
Two
year.
separate dogs. Two separate dogs. She's trying to combine it into one transaction.
I never knew you even had Yorkie.
But
I
the
always knew
question
you to have
question is the big lie of whether the money was $600 in cash ever total cumulative or not. And I see you asking for $600 in September, but I see him telling you he would give you back your $400. And so at the very least, sir, she gets her $400 back, but you have to prove that he acknowledges that you gave him $600. And you have to direct me to that. So do you have any other evidence?
I have to look at my text.
Okay.
I don't know
No,
rather
no,
that
no, 'cause that's
in my
not true.
text.
All right. And what's your counterclaim for, sir?
Defamation of character. At this whole time, she trying to make this seem like this is one incident. These are two separate dogs, and she done combined them together. And as I said, she lost the first two ones because she basically abandoned the dog.
How did she defame you, sir?
Oh, how she defamed me? She went
Yes.
around telling everybody that I took her money.
You have
And she was telling people up there to the park where we vend that. Everybody coming to me talking about something. She need to say you owe her for a dog. She never finished paying for the dog.
ma'am,
You
But
told
she
me
tell him
$600
I
because
owe
when
her.
I,
And
Your
I took
Honor,
her money.
I asked him.
She never finished paying for
When
the
I
dog.
asked him
Her
about the
friend,
dog
who she talking
back
about,
in
she paid for
October.
her
be quiet,
dog,
sir.
and she received
Be
the
quiet,
dog.
sir. Ma'am, why
Yes,
did you
sir.
share this information with other people at the park?
It was his so-called relatives thinking maybe they'll put a fire up under him and tell him that it's not right and to give me my dog back or give me my money. And it didn't work.
Okay, how did it get back to you, sir? Who told you about it?
Several people told me at the park when I was vending. Some of them was like, I don't want to deal with you no more because of that. Talking about Nene said, you owe her money. You need to pay her money.
Deal
Her
with-
little clique. Come to me, you need to just pay her money. And then when I tried, and then like I tell them, she even came to me and I told her, well, I spoke with a lawyer and the lawyer told me not to discuss this case with nobody. She even came in the concession stand where I was working at, threw everything on the floor, telling us, we need to talk. I'm like, no.
Ma'am, did you do that?
That just go ahead and
Hold
take it
on.
No,
out.
I
Did
didn't
you
throw
do that?
nothing on the floor. I walked in and I
Now
asked
you
him,
lying.
do
Now
you
you
want to
lying.
solve this between us? And he said, my lawyer told me not to talk to you. But Your Honor, what I would like to say is when I went to him the second time, I asked him, how much more do I need to give you for the dog? Those were my
You
exact
paid for
words.
the dog.
He said, can I finish talking? I asked, how much more do I need to give you? Exact words. He said $400. And that's what I gave him, $400. He never told me
I
those
didn't have
were
nothing
two
else to say to you.
All right. I see where he has said he would give you the $400 back, and that's what I'm going to order. I don't see any additional evidence
So that's
where he
two different dogs.
acknowledges.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Two
understand.
different
I can read. I can read just like you wrote. Have a good day. Judgment, $400 for the plaintiff, just as he says in the text. I guess he got memory loss. Your claim is dismissed. She didn't defame you.
Thank you. All he had to do was respond, give me my dog or give me my money back.
I don't speak with liars.
And neither do I.
Why you
Shyster.
talking?